To make this bracelet, you will need 3 looms or a total of 8 bar pins. You would want to have the center pins aligned, and then the outer pins should be coming in. So these 2 should be sticking out a little further, and then just have the next 4 in front. You would need 1 C-clip and your hook. For band choices, Loony Loomy does recommend using a thinner band. You don't want to use super thick bands for like the main perimeter and then the starburst part that we will be filling out. For the cap band part, we are going to use limited editions, which are thicker, but she said that works nicely for that part. So I'm going to try that today. The perimeter band I'm using is a silicone band, but it's very stretchy and it's not really thick. But the opaque bands work very well for this bracelet. So that can help you decide. So what we're going to do is we're going to be laying little hexagons. So for an adult wrist, it's going to be 8. So I'll be laying 8 of them today. So let's go ahead and start laying our perimeter bands. So I'm going to use purple, and we're going to just start, we're going to start by laying 1 on the center pins here, like so. And now I'll come up on my right side. Go up, and then after you go up once, you bring it in. And now we're going to repeat the same thing on the left side. And then once you lay that straight one, you bring that in like so. So you don't want to lay anything here. We're now going to bring it out, and we'll start laying our next hexagon. So you go out, up, in. And then again on the left side, out, up, in. So we're going to keep, got a little stuck on my loom. So we're going to keep laying these until I have 8 of them. I like to keep my bands as straight as possible. Whoops, almost went straight on that one. So you may need to adjust according to your wrist size, but the 8 hexagons fits very nicely on my wrist. It's not too tight, but it also has like a little room, so should fit most wrist sizes, I would assume. Oh. Whoops. Sorry guys, lost you. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm at 6. I have 2 more to go. And now for my last one. Okay, so I did go off camera just to get my bands pushed down. And now what we're going to do is add triple cap bands onto every single one of these perimeter pins. So basically every pin that has a band on it right now is going to have a triple cap band on it. So I'm going to use my Pearl and Green Limited Edition, and they work very nicely because they're rounded and they don't get all twisted up. And these cap bands are what are the bands that are going to act as these little dots going around the inside of the flower. So that can help you decide what you want to use. So you can use your hook or you can just use your fingers. I'm going to just use my fingers because with the limited edition bands, it's kind of hard to use my hook because they're so tight. So you need to make sure that it's wrapped around 3 times. I'm just going to alternate my colors. And I'm going to try really hard not to block you too much, but it's kind of hard to do this in front of the camera. And the cleaner your cap band looks on the pin, the cleaner your bracelet will come out. So I would try not to have it like twisted up too much. And just for the sake of showing you, if you want to use your hook, just place your band on there, hold it, and then wrap it around and place it back on there again, and then one more time, which would make it 3. And then bring it to the end of your hook, and then you would need to grab it and, whoa, sorry guys, that's why I don't do it with the limited edition bands. But you would just grab it and then simply place it on your pin. I'm going to try one more time, but it's, aha, got it. That was really hard though. But you can do it that way too. So I'm sure pretty much everyone will be able to do that part. So I'm going to actually go off camera to get these laid because it's a little bit hard to do in front of the camera. But just make sure you get a triple cap band on every single one of these outer pins, you know, every single one. So I have all of my cap bands laid, and I did go ahead and push them down some, so I would do that as well if I were you. And then you're going to want to turn your loom around so the arrows are facing yourself. We're going to start laying the centers of our hexagons, but we're going to work one at a time. So don't just skip forward and start laying them all. We need to work one hexagon at a time. So we're going to be filling the center out as if it's like a half a starburst. So starting on my left side, I'm going to lay my first one forward. And it doesn't really matter which order you lay these, but for looping, I like to do it starting from the top and then I come around to the bottom. So like I said, you're going to lay it just like you would do a half of starburst. Like so. And then we're going to do this side now. And I'm using the same color as my border. I just think it looks nicer when the border and the center matches. So, like I said, it's like a half of a starburst on each side. So now what you want to do is get another color, or you can use the same color. It doesn't really matter because you don't really see it too much. But we are going to put a double cap in around these 2 pins to connect the 2 sides. So I'll show you on this one. You can see in here I used gold, but it's very hard to see. It's peeking through a little bit on that one. So it's kind of hidden. So I'm just going to use this glow-in-the-dark purple one. I'm going to double cap it on my hook, and then I'm just going to stretch it around both of those pins, like so. So this is what it should look like. And now we're going to go ahead and loop out these starbursts. So just bring them back to themselves. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the right side. Like so. So now we have that all loomed out. And now is when we need to bring up the cap bands that we laid. So we're going to be bringing them up and over on each pin so that they're sitting here on the band. So I'm going to start on the front here. And I would put my finger on it just so you don't accidentally pull the band off, because I have done that. And you're just going to grab a hold of that triple cap band and then carefully just pop it over that pin, and then it sit nicely there on the band. If your bands are all twisted, you can go ahead and fiddle with it so it lays nicely. I'm going to move on to my second one. I'm going to do this all the way around. Sometimes it's easier to put your hook in backwards. These back ones, I would say, are the hardest to get up and over. Oops, I had another band I shouldn't have had on there. Okay, so now I have all of my cap bands pulled over, and this is where I would typically take my time and go through and make sure these are nice and straight. Just makes it come out a lot nicer. But you can definitely fiddle with that later or now. I would do it now if you are picky about them being twisted, because it's kind of hard to do it when it's off of the loom. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to add replacement cap bands on these two pins, because, you know, we just looped those, and now we need to replace them for this hexagon. So I'm going to use green and pink, since that's what I had on there originally, and I want to keep up with my color scheme. So just add on 2 more of your cap bands to replace the ones we just looped. Push them down some. And now we can go ahead and lay our next starburst bands for the next hexagon. So I'm going to come up here a little, and I'm just going to start laying the starburst again, or the half of starburst, I guess it would be. Like so. And now we need to add a double cap band on to these 2 pins to connect them. So I'm just going to use my hook, double cap it, and wrap it around both pins. Like that. And now we are ready to loom our starburst out again. So just bringing them back all to themselves. Like so. So I would just push them down a teeny bit, because like this is where we're going to bring up our cap bands. So I'm going to just start on the front bottom right here, And carefully bring that cap band up and over. And work around each one. Make sure you don't forget any. Almost lost my bands on that one. That's why it's a good idea to hold on to the band, because if your cap bands are really tight, it can pop that band off very easily. And I think I did lose a band in this one. Did I? Yes, I did. So I have to fix that. So if that happens, there's two things you can do. I'm going to place it on my hook, on my pin here, and put my hook inside of the, and under the band here, and then bring it back over. So I'm re-looping it. And then I'm going to place the triple cap band on my hook. And then I'm going to take the entire band off of here, holding onto it with my hook, and then I'm going to slide it on like that, and then reattach it like so. So I think that's kind of the easiest way to do it, so you don't have to go through like putting the cap band back on the pin and everything. Alright, so now I have all of these looped out. Just kind of fixing my little dots here. Get them nice and straight. And now we need to replace the cap bands again on these two. So it will always be the top two, because it will be the two that goes into the next hexagon. So I'm just going to stay with my color scheme. I had white on this one and green on this one. So I will just stay with that. Oops. Okay. So now I've replaced my triple cap band on that one, and now it's time to lay the starburst again. So, lay them out. Do your other side. Like that. And then now we'll do our double cap band connecting these two bands again, or pins. Just going to use my hook, stretch it across like so, and now loom out your starburst again. Guess it would technically be your flower, but I've been referring to it as the starburst. Like so. And now, once again, we're going to bring up the cap bands up and over. And I don't know why I just started on that one. I would always start at the beginning, because then you won't forget any. You go in a complete circle. And my pin's getting ready to pop off my loom. Why are you doing that? Okay. Okay, so go all the way around. Oh no, I did it again. Like I said, that back one is definitely the hardest to get that band over. Seems to work a little better actually if you put your hook like this and grab it and then just like slide it over. Alright, so I have all of them flipped over again, and now we have to add our, or replace our triple cap bands on these two pins again. So I'm just going to use my hook. If it will cooperate with me. Okay, it took me a while, but I got them on there. So now we're going to lay our starburst bands again. Where am I? I just lost where I was. Oh, here I am. I was confused. Now we have to connect the two, so add your double cap band around the two center pins. And now we loom out again. Oops. Oh, I did it again. Okay, so I'm going to go off camera and just bring up all these cap bands. So if you are at the point that I'm at right now, just bring up all the cap bands again, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and brought all of my cap bands over, and then I went ahead and replaced the two cap bands that we need to replace on the top two center pins. So don't forget to add those two before you lay the next starburst. So now we'll lay a half of a starburst again on both sides. Then the second part will be to put our double cap band, connecting the two together. And now we loop it out. And then remember, this is the part where we'll bring up all the cap bands. And then after you bring up all of your cap bands, don't forget to add your replacement cap bands onto these 2 pins. And then you'll do the same thing for the last, 3 more left. So I'm going to go ahead off camera and finish it up. If you have any problems, just watch the previous instructions and I will be right back. Alrighty guys, so I have completed looping and laying all of mine. So everything should be loomed out except the very bottom border band. So this is what it should look like. You're going to come back down to the beginning of your loom with your arrows still facing yourself. And now we can loop out our border. That's all we have left to loop out is our perimeter band. So you're going to want to place a double cap band on the very front 2 pins. So I'm just going to use this same color as my border and double cap it on my hook. And then place it on. Like so. And now what we're going to do is loop up the border. So we're going to go inside. You want to push back these bands here. So get in. Sorry, I had a warning that my phone is dying. I don't know if you guys could see that. We're going to push back all the top bands, grab that very bottom, and bring it over. And then you'll go through all the next ones, grab the bottom, and bring that forward. So you basically just want to make sure that you're getting inside these bands. You don't want to be on the outside of them. So you loop the left up, and then you come over and do the same to the right side. And then we'll do the same on this side. So we'll push back all those bands, grab the bottom, and loop up. So I just do one side at a time. This one came off. So you're going to just keep doing this, looping your border until you reach the very top. And then I'll come back and show you how to close it up. I'll be right back, guys. Alrighty, so I've reached the top of my loom. Everything is looped out. So it should be looking like this all the way up your loom. And now we just have the very last band here, which is where we're going to pull up and attach our C-clip to. So you're just going to push back all the bands and grab one side of that. And you want to just hold on to it and then push back in the other pin and grab the other side of that band. And then place those two on your hook or your finger, and that's what we will attach our C-clip to. Like so. So now you're going to want to remove it off of the loom, and I highly recommend using your hook because it can really like put some stress on these bands when if you just yank it off, and you don't want the border to be all pulled on one side. Alright. And then you can stretch it out. Now I noticed if you, and this is what it looks like when it comes off the loom, which it still looks super cute, and it is reversible. It looks pretty much identical on both sides. It may pop out a little more on one side, but I noticed if you kind of go like this, it will just like open that flower burst up a little more. Just kind of stretch it out like that. So there's that side, and here is this super cute side. So I basically just look at which one is less twisted as far as the border, and that's the side that I decide to wear it on. So I think this side looked a lot cleaner. Then you can always go through and fiddle with any bands that don't look clean to you. But to close it up, all you're going to do is locate the cap band on this side and attach. Like so. And then there you have the completed super cute Las Flores bracelet. And this was created by Loony Loomy on Instagram. Please make sure you tag her as well as myself, Loves to Loom, if you make this bracelet, because we'd love to see your rendition of it. Also, make sure you hit the like button below if you like this bracelet. And I will see you all at my next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye!